Today's guest is Mandy McEwen. Mandy's a social selling expert, especially with LinkedIn. And in this episode, Mandy drops some serious knowledge bombs that can help you up your social selling game. She also talks about how to leverage social selling without your prospects smelling your commission breath and how to get a 90% response rate on LinkedIn. But spoiler alert, she's also going to tell you why your bump up and breakup emails and InMails suck. Take a listen. More importantly, take action. When you do, tag me and I'll help you amplify your message. Oh yeah, hit the subscribe button too so you're in the loop as new episodes are dropped each week. Welcome to Coach2Scale, how modern leaders build coaching cultures. I'm your host, Matt Bonelli. Join me as we build a community of like-minded professionals who share the belief that effective coaching improves the performance of every team member. Our mission is to help leaders become better coaches. The Coach2Scale podcast is sponsored by Coachum, the world's first AI coaching execution platform that leverages evidence-based coaching to increase quota attainment. And with that, let's get started. The only brand you can sustain is the one that is authentic to you. Dan Schaubel. Hey everybody, you're in for a treat with today's guest. Grab a coffee, a pen for some notes, buckle up, and let's have some fun. Today's guest brings over 17 years of brand building, digital marketing, and sales expertise. She's been featured in Forbes Inc., the Huffington Post, and LinkedIn named her a top B2B marketer. Her specialties include LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, social selling, personal branding, and content marketing. Named top 50 global thought leaders and influencers on personal branding in 2024 by Thinkers 360, and named a top woman in sales to follow in 2024 by the Sales Collective. A digital nomad, currently living and working in the beautiful state of Hawaii, Mandy McEwen, aloha, and welcome to Coach2Scale.
Aloha. Thanks so much for having me. That's such a solid intro. I appreciate it.
I'm working on my game, Mandy. I'm trying to follow in your footsteps. So, Mandy, I know you have a point of view on this, but I'll start you off with a softball question. What's a myth in the world of social selling that you believe is either misguided or maybe even complete BS?
Oh, where to begin? I mean, there's so many. I would say that one is in order to drive revenue from social and from LinkedIn, you need to be posting content every single day and a lot of it. That is a myth. You don't need to be posting tons of content to drive consistent revenue on LinkedIn. I would say that's the biggest one, and that's one that holds a lot of people back.
Okay. So if you don't have to do it every day, like you have to be consistent, it sounds like is the better word.
Consistency is key. Twice a week minimum. I mean, you could even probably get away with it once a week if you're in sales, but I would say twice a week is a good gauge. And again, it doesn't have to be anything that you spend hours creating. You can leverage other people's content. You can leverage your company content. You can take a tweet that you found inspirational and share it. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel here, and you don't have to overthink anything. And I think that is the biggest misconception is with social, that it's social. Everyone's posting all the time. In order for me to actually have a presence and start, driving opportunities and meetings and revenue, I need to be posting all the time. I need to be spending all this time creating this amazing content. And you don't. You can start small, you can snowball, and later on you can start posting more, but it's really all about relationships. So I feel like that is one of the biggest myths, is the whole content production piece.
All right. ABP, always be posting. We don't have to do that. And we don't have to overthink it, which is really good for us as salespeople, Mandy. So let's get into you and what you're doing a little bit. Can you share your journey and how you became this expert in social selling and LinkedIn?
Yeah, my journey was all by accident, really. I started this crazy journey of online selling back in 2007, not to date myself, but I was out of college and working full time and didn't like it. So I started researching ways to make money online, like everyone else and their dog does at some point that wants to be an entrepreneur online. And then I fell in love with the idea of online marketing and SEO. I started selling products online, other people's products via affiliate marketing. I taught myself HTML and then WordPress. And then I started blogging. So back in the day, to make a name for myself, but it wasn't really myself back then before I started my company. It was other people's products. I blogged. So I created a bunch of WordPress sites that were SEO friendly, and I blogged and I posted on Twitter primarily. And then I realized that business owners need help with this, and I wasn't going to be able to quit my sales job. I was selling Anderson windows at the time. And I realized that I wasn't gonna be able to quit by making $10 commissions off of Snuggies and dog treats. So I was like, well, what else can I do here?
They
It's
buy a
money.
lot of that stuff. They buy a lot.
Right.
A lot of dog treats.
Yeah, I hadn't had that figured out yet though. Like it's doable, but at that point I didn't know. I couldn't figure that out on how to actually make a living off of it. So I started helping business owners that I was selling windows to, home improvement companies back in Kansas City. And I started doing their websites and their SEO. And then that morphed into a company. I started hiring freelancers online, was able to do it full time. Fast forward many, many years later, because we'd be here forever if I told you my full story. I found the power of LinkedIn. And at this point, I was a global agency offering mainly social media content, SEO, web design for companies. Then I started using LinkedIn to get my own clients. This was back before this was even a thing. It was just like a glorified resume, LinkedIn at the time. So we're talking like, I don't know, 2014-ish when I started doing this on LinkedIn. And it started working. So then I started telling people about it, other agency friends, and then they started getting clients from LinkedIn. And then they told me, you need to create a course on this. You need to help people. Like what you told me, I landed 15 meetings in 1 week, and I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, cool. So 2017 rolls around. I start making courses on this type of stuff. So I had a pretty successful LinkedIn lead generation course back in 2017. Got burnout from the course world, the way I was doing it with my target audience of entrepreneurs at the time and agency owners. And then I kind of pivoted to helping more businesses on LinkedIn. We were kind of always helping companies, but I was doing a lot of everything, like a lot of entrepreneurs, right? We're like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I was like, we need to go in on this LinkedIn front because it's so underutilized. There's not a lot of people that know how to use it. And then COVID hit, and that really kind of transformed everything with a matter of B2B actually is still working, because we had healthcare clients that were like, had to shut their practices down because of COVID. Like things were crazy. So COVID was really what kind of pushed us to go all in on LinkedIn. And here we are.
So Mandy, what are the key differences between traditional selling methods and modern social selling techniques? What do we need to know here?
So the beauty of modern social selling techniques is everyone benefits. You, the company, your community that follows you, and your prospects. And the reason is because this is a value-based, human-to-human sales game that we are all dealing with right now. So the old school methods of let's blast out 5,000 impersonal emails that look exactly the same to every prospect. Let's send a bunch of direct mail and let's just cold call the heck out of everyone and not personalize anything. Those days, they're gone. They don't work anymore. And so now we are in a personalization, hyper engaged, humanized method of selling. And if you talk to executives, they will tell you that their inboxes are completely inundated with terrible spammy pitches that they don't respond to.
I just wanted to bump this up. I wanted to bump this up in your inbox.
Exactly. Yep. Or the breakup email. And they're doing all the old school stuff from 2015. Like if you go to my website, Luminetics, it literally said 2018 called and they want their sales playbook back, because that's what's happening. And it's changed drastically, and we can't keep doing the old school ways because quite frankly, they don't work and people see right through it. People want to be heard and they want to know that your solution is going to solve their specific needs. And they want to know that you took the time out to research them and that you're reaching out in a way that resonates with them. And they're not just a number.
Yeah. So I should probably do that because I get these emails and I'm like, I feel like I can help this person, do a better job. But I don't have, I'm like, oh.
That's not your responsibility.
It's not, well, yeah, I'm like, it's not my, anyway, we'll figure out what to do with these emails. So let's talk about LinkedIn for a second. How can salespeople optimize their LinkedIn profiles to attract and help more prospects?
Yes. First thing is they need to talk about them, the prospect, not you as the individual. So your profile should be a mini landing page, a mini sales page for your organization. If you're trying to get a job, disregard anything I'm about to tell you. That's a completely different situation, right? But when we're in sales, whether we're selling for an organization or we're selling for ourselves as an entrepreneur, our profile should paint the picture of how we help our prospects go from point A to point B. And what does that look like? And we did include use cases and stats and hard facts of this is how we help people like you go from point A to point B. And that's the general gist of what your profile should portray. Then you should be, taking advantage of those featured links and sending people to case study and videos and your website. Like it really should be able to give people everything they could possibly need to make a split-second decision on whether you are worth their time. And if you look at salespeople's profiles now, Matt, I'm sure you probably see this, a lot of them don't say that. It literally screams, I'm in sales, like their headline literally says like sales development representative and nothing else. Your headline should tell people right away how you can help them first and foremost.
So, Ken, I think, and this just came to mind, because you talked about if you're looking for a job, disregard this. A lot of times when I looked at LinkedIn profiles, it does serve as a resume, if you will, for people, right? A lot of folks like, one of my kids was recently looking for a job, and I'm like going through it, and he's like, Dad, it's like, don't they just go to LinkedIn? I'm like, kind of, but not just that. You got to talk to Mandy. Don't talk to me. But they, salespeople will have I work at this company, I'm an account executive, and for the last 4 years, here's my performance against quota. Just kind of curiosity. Is that good or bad?
No, that's good, and it is like it originally was meant to be a glorified resume. And when you are job hunting, it should more or less be a glorified resume, but it should still talk about what you did and the results you achieved, et cetera, like you just mentioned, Matt. But when you're in sales, it should still talk about your achievements, but that should be like weaved into the storyline of how you and your organization help your customers. And that's the difference when we're talking about job seekers and people in sales that are not looking for a job, right? Is we're trying to boost up, of course, our own credibility, but at the end of the day, we all make money from selling products and services. So we have to boost up the credibility of the company as well. So that very first sentence in your about section really should be the elevator pitch for your company or something specific. You can make it about you, but you help your customers achieve end result at your company, right? Like it needs to be a value-driven statement on how you help people first and foremost. And then you get into a little bit more.
Makes a ton of sense. Now, I know you talk a lot about personal brand. What's a strategy for, let's say, an individual salesperson? What do you recommend for someone building his or her personal brand on LinkedIn?
So the first thing is, we need to have our goals in mind of what we're trying to accomplish on LinkedIn, right? So do you want a personal brand to drive more sales? The answer is yes, if you're in sales, right? So in that case, things are going to be a little bit different versus, let's say, entrepreneurs who are still, obviously, our goal is to drive sales, but at the same time, we're trying to maybe be seen as a thought leader in the space. Salespeople, they can be super successful on LinkedIn and they don't need to have the goal of being a LinkedIn influencer or a LinkedIn thought leader, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason is because it comes back to relationship building. And so we all need to figure out, but then there's some salespeople who are leaving and starting their own consultancy in their own thing. And those people are more focused on, becoming the thought leader. And that's fine. There's no like right or wrong answer. So you need to choose like, why am I using LinkedIn? So you just, first of all, is clarity on like what it is that you're trying to accomplish is like the very first thing you need to do. And then from there, you can determine the next steps. So if it is strictly, I want to hit my quota, I want to exceed my quota, then you're going to want to focus way more on relationship building, sending connection requests, leaving comments. And then you want to still post content, obviously, but you don't necessarily have to spend as much time creating amazing content. Now, it will help if you share some personal stories every now and then, it doesn't have to be super personal, but something to humanize yourself does help instead of just reposting company content all the time. Even in your profile, if you guys can put in there something about like what you do outside of work, because what we don't want is for people to land on your profile and just seem like it's just another, sales page for the company. Because I know I told you that. I know you're like, well, what? Wait a second, Mandy. You just told me it was another sales page for the company. It is, but it's your own unique little sales page for the company. And it still is you. It's still your brand. You're weaving in you as a human, your experiences, and kind of a little bit about what you do outside of work. That is the very best way to approach it, but you're still hyper focused on providing value. So what are those pain points that your customers are facing and how do your solutions solve those? What tips and tricks can I give people? And your marketing team is already doing a lot of this for you. So you can go and pull stuff that marketing already creates, from the LinkedIn post on the company page to company blog posts. Like, you guys are working with a lot of content already from your marketing departments that it isn't actually that difficult to create consistent content on LinkedIn.
And marketing would love that if the sales team does this. And I'm sure the good ones enable their sales team to go do this. I haven't run across that too much, but I would imagine that the really good marketing teams out there that are working well with sales and collaborating are having sessions. Hey, salespeople, like, make sure your about section says something like this. And hey, here's content that we enabled. Repost this and say something like this. I don't see it a lot.
The problem with that is, Matt, and I am a marketer, so I'm not dogging on marketers at all. I am a sales turned marketer turned marketer. I'm doing both sales and marketing. Marketing doesn't really get a lot of marketing. I'm not speaking for everyone. A lot of marketing departments don't really get the personal side of LinkedIn. They only get the corporate side of LinkedIn. And it doesn't work when you're trying to force people to share marketing-ish content on their personal profiles. It doesn't resonate in the same way. And this is where companies like me come in.
I was going to say.
Yeah, to teach both marketing and sales, because we work with marketing departments as well on LinkedIn, personal profiles. This is what works better. We can take everything that marketing's doing and we're just going to tweak it slightly and turn it into a more storytelling element that we know is going to resonate more. And that can be posted on the personal profile. Then there's companies that use tools like Sprinkler and Hootsuite, et cetera, that are like the employee advocacy tools. They load up content in there for their sales reps. They can go and click one post. But again, it's going to resonate better if that individual salesperson kind of takes that and kind of runs with it with their own spin and their own pace. This is people that are going the little bit extra mile to make things stand out a little more. And it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to do this when you are provided with this material. But I don't want people to think that they can just take marketing's content verbatim and see success on LinkedIn. From a content perspective, you can, just to keep your profile updated. But if you really want to get people responding, you need to think of ways that are going to resonate with people, get people talking, get people responding, not just posting your typical corporate content. Does that make sense?
It does. And this is why I love this topic, because, by the way, every salesperson that I'm talking to, every organization, every CRO, they mention this in some way, shape, or form. One of the things that you put out there very recently was I think it was like 5 or 6 hacks on how to leverage other people's content on LinkedIn to stay relevant. And one of I think it might have been number 5, was you said if you're feeling ambitious, right? I take a video of yourself, publish a video.
Yep.
And I kind of think I know what that means, but not 100%. What is that? Like, what do you mean take a video of yourself
Yeah.
when you're publishing someone else's content? Can you walk us through an example?
Sure. So I'm a big proponent of video. It's definitely driven the most revenue for my company on LinkedIn, really everywhere, but especially LinkedIn. So what I mean by that is you can get inspired by anyone's contents, right? So you can learn something, you can get inspired by something, and then you can literally hop on camera like we are right now, pull out your iPhone and just record a video of you talking about something, a tip, whatever it is, and then you post that. So we're basically just leveraging other people's content. You can even do this with your company content, something of a valuable tip that then leads to your guys' solution. or a case study. Maybe you guys had a recent customer that saw amazing results. You can literally hop on your phone and talk about that, give people a couple tips, and then post it. So I'm talking about repurposing content from other people that gives you ideas, and then you can take and spin that and make a video from them.
Okay, like stupid specific question here, but are you saying, like let's say you put something out there and I like it, and there's a specific story that comes to mind that I almost like I click repost with my thoughts and then attach a video, or
No,
are these
just
two totally separate?
yeah, two totally different things. And if it's something from the individual, you can mention them in the video and the post, but I'm not
Okay.
saying repost anything. Just make a completely new post. If I were to inspire you with something and it's like you take a little tidbit that I told you and then you come up with something else, I don't need you to mention me on that. You can if you want, but like you only really need to mention the person if you're like literally taking verbatim something from them and sharing it. But I'm talking about doing a completely new post because LinkedIn doesn't really like the whole repost situation. Like the whole repost with your thought, they don't show it in the feed nearly as much as if you were to make your own brand new post.
Mm.
So for salespeople, because again, the goal is to drive revenue, to drive appointments, drive opportunities, I am more likely to tell them to click the repost button, or repost with your thought. For especially when they're getting their feet wet, because it's just an easy way to keep your profile updated, right? But if you really want to get more visibility on your post, like those things are not going to drive revenue. That's just when prospects land on your profile, they see that you're active. Okay. And it might pop up in the feed if you just recently connect with a prospect, maybe. But what really drives awareness and people to you are those unique posts. And I don't mean you had to come up with it all yourself. I mean unique by like maybe you went and took a blog post from your company website. You went to ChatGPT and told ChatGPT to summarize it for you and make a LinkedIn post for you. And then you tweaked it and edited it. And then you made it your own post. That's what I mean by like unique posts. That could be done in a video too. Same thing. You could go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, take this blog post and give me a video script under 1 minute that I can post. And then you record the 1 minute tips with you. Please don't like read directly from a script because that's obvious, but your bullet points. And then bam, you have a brand new post that you can then post a video. Does that make sense?
It does. It's great, and these are the types of actionable tips that people love and crave. So, where's the line with the video? Because I think the perfect is the enemy of the good enough a lot of the times, and especially if you don't know, people, and I fall into these categories too, where it's like, okay, I have to be in an office or in my workspace. I have to have the right background, obviously not the prison background behind me here today as I'm on the road. You have the right background. My hair needs to be done right. Like, or is it, hey, I'm standing under the Golden Gate Bridge and I was going for a walk and I had a thought and I just do it
Yes.
right there with the bridge in the background. Where's the line? What are the do's and don'ts there?
The real works better, perfectly imperfect, right? So people are craving real, authentic human content right now. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You could be outside on a walk in your neighborhood and there's just trees and houses in the background. It doesn't matter. Like as long as the lighting is good and the messaging is good, then you're golden. You don't need to overthink this. And same with like sending videos to prospects. Same thing. I love sending videos and encouraging the sales teams that I train to send video messages to people. You don't necessarily need a tool for this. There's lots of tools that you can use like Vidyard and SendSpark and Drift. I mean, there's tons of different video messaging tools that obviously like at scale make it easier, but you don't have to. You can literally open up your mobile app on LinkedIn, go to the messages of a prospect you just connected with, click on the little icon to make a video, and you can either upload a video from your phone that you already recorded, or you can click it right there and just record a video of yourself walking your dog and just introducing yourself. Hey, Matt, it's so great to connect with you here. Mention something personal. Just wanted to let you know, I was looking at your team's profiles and noticed that most of them are not updated. Like this is what we do at Luminetic. I'd be more than happy to show you how your team can capitalize on the power of this platform and give you a few profile tips that they can execute right away. Thanks again for connecting. Looking forward to seeing your post. Super simple. I just made that up on the fly, but you see my point. So sending videos like that are on the fly and not completely scripted, not with everything professional, those actually resonate better with people.
Awesome. Really good to know. So with the people that are active on LinkedIn, and again, I'm talking like salespeople here. That's our audience. sales leaders, those that are active, what's a common mistake that people are making that you'd like to see them tweak and level up a little bit?
They are sending annoying messages to people that seem salesy. So that's the number one thing. And that's because that's what they were taught. They're following their outreach sequence of visiting the profile, of picking up the phone, of sending an InMail. Well, one, let's talk about InMail. Like, don't send InMail. InMail doesn't work as well as it could work by just sending a connection request. So first thing, a lot of companies still have this in their sequences to send an InMail to prospects. That's not what you want to do. One, it's people see it as just a cold email. Two, those people are not in your network. So they're not going to see your update. You're not going to be able to send a video message to them or a voice note to them. Like, you actually have to be connected with people to do those things. Not to mention, when you're posting content, you want your content to show up to those prospects. So why would you waste sending an InMail when you can send a connection request and get them in your network, right? Now, there are certain situations where you would send an InMail if their settings are weird. There's other scenarios, but for the most part, you want to send a connection request, not an InMail. And I feel like that is a mistake a lot of salespeople are still making. And that goes along with the same messaging concepts. Like, why don't we, I have something called my friendly leader method, where you go and you engage with people ahead of time, whether it's their comments that they're leaving, if they're leaving comments on people's posts, or if they're posting content themselves. You like it, you comment, you wait a little bit until they see that, then you send a connection request and you mention whatever it is. Hey, Matt, I saw your comment yesterday on Mandy McEwen's post about XYZ. I totally agree with you about what you said. Would be happy to connect here. And that's just from a comment. Like, let's say that Matt hasn't posted in 2 months.
What did you call that? What did you call that? You said I call it
My friendly leader method is what I call it. And you can use Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is amazing for this. You can do it pretty rapidly. All these tactics that I'm talking about right now, and this is why I train sales teams a lot on how to capitalize on Sales Nav. But the problem that salespeople, they're just not making things personalized, and they're not going that extra step to look like they care. They're just looking like every other salesperson that's just trying to hit quota, and they're just blasting out people on LinkedIn. They're not taking time to, let me go to their profile and call out something specific. Let me go engage. If they're commenting, let me go like their comment and look to see who they're following, look to see where they're active. Like, how can I mention something that might not have anything to do with my business, but it's going to get me to stand out, and it's going to get them to say yes, to accept. And then I can start asking questions, not pitch slapping right away, but you get them in the door, then you can build a relationship and start asking questions. So that's the biggest thing, is they're either sending InMails that are like, hi, first name, I came across your company and I realized that we can do XYZ. Do you want to schedule a call? They're either doing that in the InMail or they're doing that immediately after they connect with you, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from in that. And one of the things I hear all the time is, because, in our trainings, we've talked about, listen, there's different ways to bond and build rapport. There's effective ways and there's ineffective ways. The ineffective ways is to reach out to someone that you don't know and talk about the weather, talk about politics, talk about the game last night. These are, cheesy ways, old school ways that someone who doesn't know you doesn't want to engage with you that way. But it's more about the show me you know me. Show me you care. Show me you did some homework. Ask me a good question. Provide
Right.
something of value, right? Like things like that. And so some people are more direct than others, and they feel like they just need to get to their pitch. It's like,
Well, you can be direct without pitching, though. You can literally mention, like, something personal. And then, by the way, I noticed that XYZ, if we can ever help you with that, let us know. Or I noticed XYZ, and then you ask a question and it's related to what you do, so you can be very direct without being annoying.
I was going to go down that thread, but I'm going to pull away. I could talk about this for a long time. What's coming down the pike here with social selling, Mandy? What trends do you see coming out, and how do sales teams prepare for them?
So, I mean, it's just becoming more and more important for salespeople to have a presence on LinkedIn and to be active. So we're seeing that videos are performing better. You're going to see that LinkedIn is trying to be like TikTok and Instagram with their short form vertical videos. Like if you notice already on the mobile app of LinkedIn, you can swipe up, to see the short form videos just like you can on the other social media platforms.
Yeah.
So they really are trying to take these elements from TikTok, Instagram, short form video and put them on LinkedIn to make it more of an entertaining, if edutainment, if you will, education entertainment. And so for people to be able to capitalize on that, it's not necessarily that they have to be posting their own all the time videos, but engagement is key. Because if you guys can engage consistently with leaders in your space and your prospects, and let's say leaders in your prospects industry, because you know that they follow those people. Okay. So if we think about this, let's say we're targeting manufacturing. Okay. We're going to go and find the manufacturing influencers because our clients are following them. And then we're going to start commenting on their videos. And then we're going to see who else is commenting on the videos. And then bam, there you have a conversation based around that. So it's very much community based, being strategic with the content that's happening. And you don't necessarily, again, have to be the one posting all the content, but you do need to be engaging with stuff like that because that's going to open up so many more doors for you to get in front of these people. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. And I noticed, if I did my homework right, that one of the companies that you follow was Accenture. And the reason why that stuck out is my daughter works at Accenture. And I
Okay.
have I have friends that work at Accenture, and something you just said triggered this thought, which is the metaverse. I would say maybe a year and a half ago, I was hearing more about it than I'm hearing about it now. Maybe it's because I go down dirt roads for periods of time on information. But one of my friends that works at Accenture is a managing director, and he said they have all their team meetings in the metaverse, right? And I have no idea if this is in your wheelhouse at all, but where does this fit in anywhere? Because I remember, like, one of the podcasts I follow, the host has a metaverse where they provide their coordinates about where they are, and everybody meets in there. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit talking out of my level right now, but yeah, let me just shut up and ask your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's cool. I actually, when I was a co-host for the Digital Marketer podcast a couple of years ago, I did a lot of episodes on virtual real estate, metaverse, crypto, like all of that,
Mm.
NFTs. And so I'm fascinated by that space. I think it's a little early to be talking about that in relation to what we are talking about. I'm not surprised that companies like Accenture are doing that. But I feel like from a sales perspective, it's not quite there yet. I think we're a year or two down the road before we can really start talking a lot about that when it comes to sales. I don't know. I might be wrong, but right now, yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
We'll stick with the here and now. That's all right. So, Mandy, let's talk about you and what you do a little bit. So you're the founder of Mod Girl Marketing. I think you founded that in 2010. You recently founded Luminetics in 2021. In short, what do the companies do? What's the difference between the two? And what compelled you to do what you're doing?
Yeah, so Mod Girl's on the marketing front, mainly all social, organic marketing strategy, and Luminetics is on the link front primarily. So that's kind of the differences, and all the influencer relationships, etc., are on the Mod Girl front. We've worked with a lot of different types of companies too, even some B2C. And so Luminetics is where we are building out programs right now. I'm super excited about hybrid, kind of on demand and live programs for sales teams of all sizes. And that is our big focus right now. And so my goal is to create the number one social selling education system for companies, regardless of their size. And so that's my goal. Is I want to be able to empower more salespeople and more organizations to maximize the power of LinkedIn. And not just from a quick revenue standpoint, but also from a long-term sustainability, brand growth, market share, brand leader, right? Because when you do this, it's a culture thing too, Matt, and I'm sure you realize this, but it starts at the top with leaders. And so if I can get more leaders on board to see the power in this, and then it trickles down to the team, they make it a priority. They make them do it on their every single day in their calendar, right? They time block for these activities on LinkedIn. It works. It's inevitable that this stuff works. It's just, you have to do it and you have to be consistent with it. And it's one of those things where it's not even a nice to have anymore. It's kind of a must have now. If you really want to dominate your market in B2B and you want to do big things, this isn't just like, oh, like LinkedIn's a nice to have. Like, you need to be getting on this. And if you're not, then your competitors are. And so my goal is to show those companies the power in this and give them everything they could possibly need to be successful with it, either on their own, they could DIY internally, or with a little bit of help in both in that department. So I know there's a lot more, but that's like the most important thing I want to get across is like, this is the time. Like, the time is now. And that's why I am working so hard to get these new programs rolled out. We're doing this now, but I'm kind of elevating things to the next level and using AI also, creating GPTs for clients to create faster content, to create faster profile copy for their entire teams. Like, we're doing some really cool things to help companies execute LinkedIn and social selling very quickly and easily. Because if you were to go and talk to a company now, their head's going to be spinning if they're trying to do this themselves. They're like, where do we start? I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, how do my team even get their profiles optimized? Like, what are they even doing on LinkedIn? How much should they be posting? Like, they don't know what to do, and they've got enough going on that they need some direction and guidance, and they need a strategic plan and a playbook. And that's where we come in.
A lot of the leaders that are in my circle, like, people that are my age that I grew up with in this business, in and around, let's say a good chunk of them know what Chat GPT is, and they go in there and they use it for, like, a fraction of what it can be leveraged for, but they know it's something. They've used it a little bit to benefit them, and they know their team needs to be have a better social presence. They're not super social savvy themselves, right? So this is where, like, the problem is created. There's a confidence issue. There's what's the first step or the next step. So if they're going to reach out to Luminetics, what is right in the wheelhouse use case? They're like, hey, I'm frustrated, or I'm concerned, or I have a problem with this. Therefore, I'm going to call Luminetics. I'm going to call Mandy. What's that use case, and what's the best way to get in touch with you?
We know our clients are on LinkedIn, and our reps are using it a little bit, but they're mainly using it for research purposes. No one's been shown a system for how to use LinkedIn. And we know there's opportunities. That's the biggest thing of why people come to us. It's like, hey, our reps are using LinkedIn, but everyone's doing it in their own way. And every single company will tell you this, unless they've had someone like our company come in and train them. No one has a set plan. It's like, yeah, we have a couple of reps that are doing a lot with Sales Navigator. They're maybe generating an appointment a month, but they can't really tell us what they're doing because there's no system. And the rest of the reps are just using it like Zoom info to gather information. That's it.
Yeah.
So there's no set system on how do we go about social selling. And that's what we come in to train them and give them the systems and the playbooks. And every single day they know exactly what to do and how to talk to people. That's the biggest thing. And to answer your second question, LinkedIn, obviously, you can reach me there easily. And luminetics.io is our website that you guys can check out and also reach out there.
All right. And we will put those links in the show notes. Good stuff. So as we start to wind down here, Mandy, this podcast is called Coach2Scale. We bring people on who care about coaching and developing and helping other people be successful. So you certainly fall into that category. What I find is that people who have that unique trait had it modeled for them somewhere else, right? Someone coached them, someone mentored them, someone impacted them in some way. Can you talk about someone in your career whose coaching, whose mentorship had an impact on who you are and what you're doing today?
So many, I would say, Matt. So my business coach of 8 years actually just passed away of cancer a couple months ago, which was devastating to me. I didn't even know. So I would say her, Tracy. And I worked with her for 8 years, so multiple times a month. So that was rough. I would say she had a really big impact on me, but I am learning from everyone, even executives all the time. Like every clients that I mesh well with, sales enablement leaders, VPs, I would say they're my mentors too. Like I am a constant learner, so I can't answer like aside from my business coach Tracy. I can't answer like one person because I'm literally learning from everyone all the time, you know? So that's kind of my answer. I don't know if that's what you wanted,
So,
but
no, no, like I understand where a business coach can play such an important role in your life and that relationship that's developed. I'm sorry to hear about Tracy. No, that's you answered it exactly how I would hope you'd answer it. On that same topic, on that same thread of coaching, I've been asking this question of a lot of guests recently. Who's your favorite coach?
yeah, that's a tough one too. I have a lot of people I follow and learn from. There's a couple. I would say Mel Robbins is one. I like her vibe. I feel like I'm always learning something from her. I do incorporate her 5-second rule when I am going crazy. Counting down from 5. I'm like just to boost all and a lot of times
Five,
just
four, three, two, one. I read the book.
athlete.
Yeah.
So I would say that she's a good one. And going back to even like my answer with Tracy, like a lot of these people are business is just like a little tiny bit of it. Like how to be a better human and just personal growth and development is how I am a better business leader, right? Like it all starts there. And that's why these people have impacted me. Even my business coach, she was more of kind of like a spiritual life business coach. It wasn't just strictly business. Like we talked about everything and just to help me get different perspective and clarity on how I can improve my communication and how I handle things and my reactions to certain situations. And so I say those people are the ones that have necessarily the biggest impact on me. Example, Mel Robbins. So that's my answer.
Awesome. So we'll close out here. We share a passion, it seems, and that's for world travel. And as you on your LinkedIn, I think it says Midwest, West Coast, digital nomad with the
Yep.
airplane there. Approximately how many countries have you visited, and which one's on the hit list next?
Oh gosh, that is a tough question too. So in the last 18 months, I think I visited 11 countries. I mean, I visited more than that over the time of my life. I'm just telling you, since I've been a nomad, which has been 2.5 years. So over 10 countries, and I am leaving on, let's see, August 10th. And here's my itinerary through December. New York City, London, Ireland, Scotland, Cyprus, Greece, Amsterdam, Prague, Berlin. So I'm naming cities. So like you can do the countries, right? I'm naming cities because that's how my brain works. But we're talking
Yeah.
all, obviously, you guys can figure out the countries there. And then Portugal again, Iceland, Greece again, and yeah, back to the States. So this is going to be an insane rest of the year for me, which is why I'm here in Hawaii. My calmness, and I'm working really, really hard to get a lot done now because I'm still going to be working, obviously, the rest of the year, but I'm going to be hitting lots of places in Europe. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And part of that is you're working. You're not on vacation for the next bunch of
No.
months. You're working hard, but you're doing it in cool places, and you're adventure traveling. You're going out and seeing stuff and being in places where you want to spend time, right?
Exactly. And it's easy to do that in Europe because of the time difference. So I can get stuff done in the morning and then work at night with my American. I mean, I have clients worldwide, obviously, but most of them are in North America. And so the time works out perfect because I can get some adventuring stuff done in the morning and then I work at night. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a little bit harder to do that here in Hawaii with being behind everyone.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm on the mountain time zone usually, and I'm familiar with being behind even if it's a couple of hours.
Uh-huh.
Never mind 6 from the East Coast.
Exactly.
So Mandy, what's a question I should have asked you, but I failed to do so?
I would say where can people go to get something of value from me for free is one question. So I will tell you now.
In addition to watching this podcast,
In
obviously.
addition to watching this podcast and my videos, all of my content that is out there on the World Wide Web for free. Your profile is the number one thing that you guys have got to get right from the get-go before you do anything on LinkedIn. Your profile optimization is key. So I have a free ungated, meaning you don't even have to put in your email. I have a free profile checklist. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, just type in my name, Mandy McEwen, you'll find my profile. Follow me, send me a connection request. But you'll see in my featured links, I have a profile checklist. If you go and follow that, it will send you a Google Drive, Google Doc folder. You can duplicate that. Use that to optimize your profile, because I guarantee you are missing things in your profile that will help increase your response rates on LinkedIn. So go ahead and check out my free checklist. And of course, if I can help you in any other way, reach out.
Awesome. Mandy, we covered a lot of ground. We talked about the importance of personal brand. We talked about consistency. You don't need to post every day. You need to be consistency. You need to think about how it's going to be viewed and how you're helping other people. We talked about the importance of differentiating yourself, not being salesy, not being annoying. So a lot of really, really great stuff. I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate, like you said, all your content is out there for free. But you do have a business that helps companies and sales teams like the ones we work with all the time, help them figure this stuff out. So thank you so much for sharing your time today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Matt. I enjoyed it.
All right. And for everybody else out there who's watching, who's listening, thanks for doing that. Let us know. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you want to see more of. We want to bring interesting and actionable content and ideas to you. So stay tuned. And until next time, coach them if you want to keep them. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Coach2Scale, How Modern Leaders Build Coaching Cultures. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at coachem.io. That's COACHEM.io. And follow us on Twitter at CoachemNow. See you all next week. Thanks for joining. And remember, coach them if you want to keep them.